You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And welcome to The Michael Lodge Show. This is Michael Lodge. So listen, it's a beautiful day out. Kind of cloudy, really muggy, really muggy. It's like stepping out into a steam bath. I am beginning to wonder whether or not if our weather here is getting warmer or just plain old hot. I got a feeling it's just plain old hot and humid. But it's like this every single summer. It doesn't change. It's been this way for years and years and years, and it will continue being this way. Nothing changes down here in South Florida. Hot and muggy. Listen, I was listening to someone yesterday on their explanation of the economy. And I found that his argument was really quite interesting because he said, all we have to do is look at the Campbell soup prices and you will see that we are in an inflationary time. In fact, if you look at the prices of Campbell soup over the years, it has pretty much told us where our economy was. It's an amazing time. Now, if you go back and you look at soup, Campbell, especially we're looking at Campbell's tomato soup, okay? If you go back and look at the data from, let's say, 1990. At 1990, it was about 10 cents a can. 10 cents a can for tomato soup. Then it went up in the 1920s. And then it went up significantly in the 1955 and then the 70s. And then when we got to the years of 1980, it really went up. It went up to over 30 cents a can. Now, where do you think we are today? Now, we have had an up and down motion of the good times and the bad times. And we have been up to about 60 cents per can. 2020, we went up to 85 cents per can. Today, we're sitting at about $1.10 a can. And if you look at the spikes going up and down, it's because we had some good years. We had some periods of time where the economy was good, it was strong, it was going places. Then you had years where we had really bad economies, it was tough, and so you can see the prices go up and down and up and down, up and down, based upon the economy at that time. It kind of told you what the inflationary time was. At this moment in our life, in 2015, it was about 80 to 90 cents per can. 2020, it zoomed up to 85 cents per can. And then right now, it's at $1.10, maybe even higher. I just priced it last night. We were at $1.10 a can. Here in Florida, anyway. So if you look at the tomato soup of Campbell's and kind of see exactly where it's been throughout the economy, it pretty much mirrors what has been happening. Right now, we are in an inflationary time. Now, a lot of you people said it really doesn't matter to me because I don't like tomato soup. Well, it's the trend, okay? It is the looking at the historical numbers of tomato soup. I encourage you to do it. Just Google the historical price of a Campbell's tomato soup can, and you can see the history, and you can also see during the periods of time where it kind of told us where the economy was. So I thought it was very interesting. So that's what I did last night. As soon as I was done with my walking, I went to the computer and I Googled it, and sure enough, I can see exactly the graphs, and it kind of tells us from 1898 through 2020. Now, I'm telling you that Campbell soup at the moment is at $1.10 because I priced it last night at the local stores here in Florida. listen, if you really want to know something, and I hate to tell you the truth at the moment, this is not a good economy. I don't care what Wall Street says. Remember, Wall Street in our economy, when I say our economy, the economy that you and I have to live in, is totally different from Wall Street. Wall Street is about the investment of that company, how they can make a fast buck. It is not driving the economy. You and I drive this economy. Okay? And when our prices go up, we should be pounding on the table. When we see our inflationary prices go up, it's not because of what you and I are doing, but it's because of what government policy is. If government policy is forcing the economy to pay higher taxes, guess what? Everything we do goes up. Everything we buy goes up. If gasoline prices are going up, the cost of everything goes up, because to get those goods and services to place, it takes gasoline. Now, what's really interesting about this is that in California, they're short of water. And their hydroelectric dams, some of them they've had to shut down because of the shortage of water. Now, if you have an electric car and we have power plants shut down, what does that do? It shuts you down. It shuts down the ability to have air conditioning in your house. It has to do with shutting down the electricity grid to fulfill the needs of you and me. And this is not just happening in California. It's happening in Texas. It's happening in so many different places where we are having these heavy heat waves at the moment. But you see, we cannot cut off one source of energy to replace it with another source, because that other source depends on another source. So we have a problem. But my point is that what happens in Wall Street, the buying and selling of stocks, does not have anything to do with how you and I are living in our homes, how we're running our businesses. You see, when we see inflation going up and it's affecting all parts of our life, we should be speaking out about that. You see, policies that come out of government that are threatening to businesses, threatening to our own income taxes and way of life, we should be speaking out about that. We can no longer sit around and say, well, that's government. No, we can't do that any longer. Because what's happening at the moment is the infrastructure program that is coming out of Congress is a farce. It's not going to do anything to help us out. It has not identified the issues that are needed right now. Instead, it covers a whole bunch of things that has nothing to do with pure infrastructure. It's not taking into consideration of the usage of our roads and highways and how they are being repaired, or our airline system, air controller systems. It's not taking into consideration the infrastructure of bringing and shipping out goods and services. Right now, we have boats sitting out in the harbors waiting to be unloaded, and they're not being unloaded. So we have a shortage of goods being held up in our ports. So we have an issue. And if we as Americans do not stand up, and if we do not take back control of what's happening in Washington, D.C., especially on the infrastructure, especially on tax bills, it's just going to drive everything up. You see, in order for them to pay for this stuff, they're not cutting out anything out of their budgets to pay for this. their answer is to raise our taxes. So if they are going to raise our taxes, I really would like to know, what are they spending our money on the infrastructure? If they are going to go and spend money and put money in there for Planned Parenthood or any of those other subjects that have nothing to do with infrastructure, we need to say, stop it. Identify what you're spending the money on, and say to members of Congress and Senate, I don't approve of that. You're not spending anything that helps the American people. See, the problem is with Congress and the Senate, it's all political. Thinking about good things that are going to help the nation, they never think about, because their decision-making process is tied to their power and how much more power that they're going to get from any particular bill. So when they're thinking about bills, they're not thinking about you and me. They're thinking about their power base, how they can control and have the power over the nation. Has nothing to do with doing something good for the American people. And the reason why that is because you and I don't hold them accountable. How many of you have written a letter to Congress saying, I want to know exactly how much that infrastructure bill is going to cost, and I want to know what the line items are of what they're going to spend that money on? You see, in order for us to change this, you and I have got to make them accountable to us, the taxpayer, the American citizen, the one with the vote that puts them there. If we continue to see our inflation going up and we don't see any, even Yellen of the Treasury Department is saying, yeah, it's going to be here for a while. A while in political terms means a long time. And Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing, so he continues to play to his political base and present these new bills that are going to do more harm to the nation's economy than any good. Now, we had an infrastructure bill that focused on our roads, on our power grids, on our transportation needs, port issues. That would be a good infrastructure bill. But if we're going to put a whole bunch of pork in there at $3 trillion, we have a problem. What I would suggest to Congress, pull out only the infrastructure items, present it to the American people, and let us know what that is. If there's anything added to that, the American people should say, hey, stop it. That's our money. We only want infrastructure. I encourage every single one of you. You guys have a voice. You have an email system. You have a texting system. You have a Twitter account. You have whatever it is to contact and let these individuals know that your vote is no on this unless it specifically identifies infrastructure and only infrastructure. But if we're going to see a whole bunch of tax increases, if we're going to see a whole bunch of nonsense of spending, and the cost of our living goes up every single day, we've had it. Enough with this. Now, I'm going to tell you that our economy is not good. It is not good. Wall Street is not our economy. Trading of stock is not our economy. You and I working hard at our jobs, trying to open our businesses, trying to get them going. That's the economy. Now, I just heard a report yesterday that the banks are starting to tell individuals who are in the foreclosure market to get ready for September. Because something is going to happen in September where there's going to be a foreclosure on a lot of different properties. If that is true, then that affects our economy greatly. Not only does it do that, but it drives the cost of everything up. And the home prices are going to begin to plummet. We're at the end of this bubble. In fact, individuals are now holding back on buying homes because they think something's going to happen. They're holding back on buying homes because they just don't have enough money. They're holding back on buying these homes because they just cannot afford the monthly payments. And some of them are holding back on buying the home because they think something's going to happen. Listen, lines of credit that you used to be able to get on your home, Wells Fargo, B of A, have stopped that. And they are really concerned because individuals in America have begun to not use their credit cards. They are really concerned about that because they're not getting the interest that they used to get. Because individuals, smart individuals, conservative spending, fiscally sound, good stewards of their money are not using their credit cards. And a gold star goes to every single one of them. But if we have a issue where we're going to have foreclosures in September, and our economy, inflation is going up, and if they're talking about taxes, and if they're talking about more and more spending, this nation economy is going to be very rocky. And we're going to start seeing some landslides come down the hill. Because the financial foundation of America is being attacked by bad government policy. So, if that is the case, and if we have foreclosures starting in September of this year, not next year, this year, we're going to have a decline in the economy. So I want to get every single one of you geared up for that mentality at the moment. Start saving your money, start putting it in the banks, and begin to act like a good steward of your financial affairs. Start sitting down and putting together your budgets, what you can and cannot afford. And if you do that, you will be prepared when anything slides into your life because of an economy, bad economy. Listen, I have on my website, if you go to www.lodge-co.com, and if you click on the link that's up there for business advice, it's about in the middle of the top of my website, of my webpage, I mean. When you click on that, go down and you will see that I have personal budgets in there for you. Use that. Get prepared. Start knowing exactly how much income is coming in and how much expenses are going out. A lot of time, and this is what happens, a lot of times our expenses in our house goes up, not by our fault. But sometimes when inflation goes up, well, our gas prices go up, we're spending more money on gas. And when our food prices go up, we're spending more money on food prices. If our tax preparation bills are going up, we're spending more on stuff. Everything goes up, and that affects our economy. That means that our income has got to be able to cover those expenses going out. And now is a good time for you to take a look at that and say, okay, what do I really need to keep and what can I live without? Maybe I don't need that Netflix account. Maybe I do not need that cable network. Maybe I don't. Maybe there are some things that I can cut down. Maybe I need to look at my phone system, my cell phone system, and see if there's another cheaper plan out there that I can live within. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. Do I really need this car that I'm paying $900 a month? Maybe this is time for me to get rid of that. In other words, you're being a good steward and thinking the process through of how you are going to spend your money. And maybe, just maybe, it's time that you get back to work and you go out and get a second job. Who knows? We don't know until you sit down and put your budget together. I always believe that you have to be proactive with your economy, with your personal income, your personal expenses. You have to be proactive and making sure that you have a plan of action that will get you through anything. We have just gone through a pandemic. We've just gone through where people lost their jobs. We went through a period that's ending now where people got unemployment, good checks from unemployment. Those are all ending. Right now, we are being faced with potential foreclosures. We have a rental market that is extremely inflated. The home prices on homes to purchase are extremely inflated. Inflation on those things create a problem for you and me. And let's admit it, it's a problem for you and me. If you're going to go around and just say, well, that's what the government's going to do, then you know what? Then you have to face the music. And the music is not in good tune. It is out of tune. It sounds like a goat. I don't know why I say goat. I don't know if you've ever listened to a goat yell and scream. That's what it sounds like. You and I, we have the responsibility of taking care of our own personal finances, and we need to do it. Listen, I'm going to talk about this every single day. And if I come up with any new strategies, I'm going to pass it on to you. I'm going to be looking at this every single day of how we're going to get through this and how we're going to be better managers of our money. Maybe some of you are planning to send your kids to college. Maybe you should consider community college for right now until the economy gets just a little bit stronger. Before you go out and buy that new car, have you thought about buying a used car because it's going to be cheaper for you? Although used cars prices have gone up. But we have to be proactive. We have got to be good financial stewards. I have to repeat that over and over and over again because I want to pound it into your mind. Not because I don't love you, because I do love you. That's what remember when we were young, our parents would say, well, I'm doing this because I love you. Well, I do love you. I want you to be able to make it through anything. I want you to be able to save money. And if you're going to give any money away, make sure that it's going to help somebody. But right now, you got to focus on yourself, your own family, your own ability to survive. The economy is bad. If you walk around in stores, what do you see? Empty stores. Businesses who have closed down because they can no longer afford the rents. They can no longer afford not having any customers going to them. Well, here we go. We're in it again. You and I were in this together. Listen, and if you guys have any good ideas on how to improve your own personal income, I want to hear from you. Send me an email to info at lodge, lodge-co.com. Again, that's info at lodge, lodge-co.com. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're doing. I want to hear your successes, at managing your finances. The economy is not good. Even though they're saying how good and how fast it's growing. Yeah, it's growing fast for the companies, but it's not growing with you. Your income is not keeping up with the pace of inflation. So we have to do something about it. You and I have to change the way that we do things, the way that we think about things, because we have to survive. You and I were not multimillionaires. A lot of us wish we were, but we're not. So we have to live in the real world of finances. and those that affect us. We're going to be okay. We just have to work together. We have to express ideas. We have to get information out there for other people to be helped. That's up to you and I. Government's not going to do it, but you and I, we can. So we're going to do it. That's all that we have to it. Listen, this morning when I got up and was meditating, because I spend a half hour about meditating, and I write in my journal and everything else. And, when I have to do everything alone, because I am alone. I'm by myself, and so I work alone. I live alone. I travel alone. I handle my problems alone. And so when you're in that state of mind of aloneness, sometimes your faith gets weakened. And so I was thinking about my faith this morning. And I had to ask the question, where is my faith? Where is my faith? And I had to build it back up. But I found a very good quote, and it meant a lot to me when I read it. And it goes like this: you're designed to be heard by God. Don't believe the lie that He's not listening when you speak. It's a very true statement. I think sometimes we get up into our worlds, our own little worlds, and we forget about our faith, and we forget that when we speak, God is listening to us. But we're human beings, and we have these weaknesses, and when bad things come, we begin to doubt. When people say bad things to us, we begin to doubt. When these items in our life happen to us, we begin to doubt. And we forget that when we speak and when we say, God help us, He's up there watching out for us. And we forget that because we're these human beings that forget to look up and speak. But when you speak, He listens. Listen, this is the end of my podcast. I have had a good time with you. I'm glad that we've been able to speak. Hope you had a good cup of coffee as you listened. And that's a requirement of the show, is to have a cup of coffee when you listen to me. When you and I sit down, we better have a cup of coffee in our hand. Now, some of you are tea drinkers. That's fine. I forgive you for that. I still love you. But coffee is it. Listen, if you like my podcast and you like the content of my podcast, help me out, won't you, by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge, Lodge. Again, that's www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. That would really help me out, and I would greatly thank you for that. If you have a business question or if you have a mediation question, send it to me at info@lodge, Lodge-co.com. Again, if you want to get that free budget, there's no strings attached. You just go to the website, you click on it, you download it and start using it. There's no strings attached. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're at. I'm not collecting any data. It's just there for you to use, okay? Go to www.lodge, Lodge-co.com. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. Everybody go out and have a great day. I'll talk with you soon. God bless. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.